There used to be a time in the UK when you heard the name Not3s, you were talking about a guy at the top of his game. Take it to the present day, I get more comments asking what happened to Not3s than I have hot fucking meals. So today I'm just gonna answer the question for you. A lot of people have been asking, where's he gone? Where's he disappeared to? So strap in, because I'm gonna tell you all you need to know. Back in 2017, when Not3s was just popping off, he was like at the peak of Afro swing era in the UK. He was making a serious name for himself in the UK, and his tunes were doing proper well. He came in with like Addison Lee, that was a big hit. You had like Aladdin, that was a huge hit. He was having all these big songs, and then he only seemed to get bigger and bigger, because he went on to release songs like My Lover and Fine Line, and him and Mabel basically became like this power couple in the UK. And if you know anything about being in a relationship in the music industry, or in basically any industry, it's basically a fucking cheat code just for money. They're just like, real or not, just give me the dough, just give me the cash. Him and Mabel were raking it in, but bro, I'm gonna be real, the tunes were fucking fire as well. Like My Lover, Fine Line, all these tunes that they had together, like people fuck with the chemistry, but the tunes were actually hard. I thought Not3s was gonna go to the top, because Not3s was one of those guys, yeah, he's wavy, he's cool, but appealing to the female audience, you know what I mean? He's got Mabel there, so it's double the money if you can get into the female audience, and that's exactly what he was doing. So it looked like the sky was the limit for Not3s, and I think people forget like the amount of hits that guy had. He didn't just have My Lover. Guy was dropping seriously big tunes. He dropped Butterflies, which is clear of 100 million streams on Spotify, 50 million views on YouTube. He dropped Sit Back Down, What You Mean, What Do You Mean, because that song's on like 50 fucking million streams as well. Bossy with Avelino, that's cleared 30 million streams. Wanting, that's at like 30 million streams. Guy was seriously clear. Like, compare those numbers to UK artists today, you're talking like one of the top UK artists in the country. And he was nominated for BB Sound of 2018, whatever the fuck that award is. I think people just make up the awards at this point. Our slate award shows enough on this channel, because they've just basically lost all credibility. Anyone can actually answer what the fuck the BBC Sound of 2018 award is, I'll hand deliver you a medal. The only award show in the UK this year which actually has valid, like, correct fucking nominations overall is like the Mobos, and even they fuck up a couple of them, but overall they seem to do it on what should actually be awarded. But Not3s quickly became one of like the hottest rappers in the UK. At the time, a lot of the rappers in the country were up and coming. Like 2018 was sort of the time where so many new artists were pushing through, and Not3s was one of the biggest. I mean, there's even artists that are still about today which Not3s was bigger than back in 2018, and he was only just coming up at the same time. And so when you're doing that well, you just fuck around and do a couple side quests, and of course that's what he did. He had a part in Shiro's Story 3 where he played like Jermaine. He just had like this random cameo like out of fucking nowhere, which is kind of hard, you know what I mean? I think when people get to a certain level of just like clout, or they're just on top of the game, they just get bored. I don't know what I'll do today. I'm just going to do something fucking random today. And I think Not3s just woke up one day and just thought, yeah, I'll act in Shiro's Story. Never acted before, I'll just do it. He dropped a couple of projects, but no like main studio album. And he dropped his first main studio album in 2021 called like 3 The Album or some shit. I don't know. The way he uses 3s and E's is genuinely kind of triggering. If you're like dyslexic or some shit, you're going to struggle with that shit. Like, I'm gonna be real. And I had a look at the album and I thought maybe like 1 or 2 hits that I remember off that. No, genuinely don't know one song off the fucking album. It dropped in August 2021 that year, and the reason I think it was such a big flop is because he had a kid in April of the same year. So you're dropping an album like what, 4 or 5 months after you've had a kid. Marketing probably wasn't there. 2021, he's already sort of on the decline. So genuinely only heard about this album when I looked it up. I don't think there's one song I've ever even heard of it, and I've played a lot of music. Most UK artists, I've gone through their whole discography. I've heard Take Notes 1 and 2, but this 3 The Album, never. So when I saw the streaming numbers, I was pretty shocked. And if you want my opinion on why this like studio album, his big break, was such a big flop, he just didn't adapt his sound. 2021, you've already had like a new wave of artists come in. So people like Central C started popping off in 2020. The Afro swing sound, unfortunately, mainstream in the UK had died basically by like 2019. So it's a shame, but if you can't adapt, all these artists, a lot of them couldn't adapt. And when they dropped their first studio projects, even people like Rams, who did Barking, his first studio album, Blockbuster, flopped as well. Like, a lot of these artists, they're sick at making hits, but when it comes to making albums, cohesive albums, they struggle. So I think that's what you've got to give a lot of the UK rappers coming up now. credit for is that, yeah, they're popping off the big tunes, but they're also putting together cohesive albums which are actually doing well in the charts, which is what a lot of these artists didn't do. And so over like the past 3 years, I gotta say, he's been staying consistent and the music's been doing okay. Like, some of his songs are doing millions of streams, a lot of them doing like 100k streams. It really depends on the song. It doesn't seem like he's doing much marketing nowadays, and I don't blame him, because I doubt most of his money's coming from music streams. In fact, I'd say money from streaming platforms is probably one of his like smallest streams of income right now, just because of the level of streams he's doing. Obviously he's got the hits which are gonna help keep topping it up, but a lot of the tunes just aren't doing that well, and he just hasn't adapted his sound, unfortunately. Nowadays you're more likely to see him in areas like Magaluf and Kavos and shit like that, same as a lot of 2018 UK rappers. They take the same path where when the streams die down, they can still get booked in these places because they've got the hits from like a time where a lot of the people go into the Kavos and the Magalufs and shit. Nowadays their songs would have been popping off when a lot of these people going on holiday now were like in their like teenage years, so they've got like the hits you remember from like school days. So finding bookings in the summer isn't too difficult for a lot of these guys. It's basically the same as a lot of the people I've made videos on, EO, Dino, well, probably not EO actually, but Dino. They've got these hits, which means that these places, these summertime places, are just going to keep booking them in the summer, and they'll probably get like a couple grand per performance, something like that. And if they're doing a lot in the summer, it's going to be nicely topping up their bank account. So I've also seen him in the studio with Toby Jizzle a couple times, and people will actually clown that. People will say, oh, Notes has fallen off, he's in the studio with Toby Jizzle from the Sidemen, what is he doing? I would actually disagree and say that it would be a pretty good move for him, because you got to think a lot of these Sidemen fans probably don't even know who Notes is. They probably weren't even around or old enough to be like listening to Notes when he was dropping the My Lovers and the Aladdins and shit. So a lot of these fans wouldn't even know who Notes was. So if Toby makes a song with them and they're like, oh shit, this Notes guy is quite good, they'll probably go back and listen to his old music and start following him or whatever. So I'm pretty sure they were in the studio like sometime last year or the year before. And look, Notes is talented, but a new wave of artists has just come in, and realistically the prime is probably gone. Probably not going to get to the level or the numbers that he was at before. And so Notes has sort of just become another artist which never really adapted or changed their sound. Unfortunately, most of the artists from that 2018 era who didn't adapt their sound are the ones that you don't know anymore. They were hit makers, they were making hits at the time, but putting together albums, I think they struggled, and a lot of them now are sort of just reaping the rewards, sitting on the backseat and living the life off the money that they made a few years ago, but I think that his prime is definitely gone. I'd be lying if I said I was excited to see what he was going to drop, just because I haven't heard any buzz around his name in so long. And so when he's been dropping music, I haven't even known that he's dropped music, and I'm pretty switched on. I'm usually there. Most UK artists, when they drop new music, I'm there, but Notes is one of them which, if I heard a new song was dropping, there isn't much that's making me want to go over to my speaker and say, yeah, I'm going to play that new Notes just to see what he's up to. Which is a shame, but unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles when you don't adapt your sound. The guy's got a partner, the guy's got family, and he's got wealth, so he's fucking chilling, do you know what I mean? He's not losing sleep over it. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash a like on it. As always, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. If there's any videos you want to see, make sure you let me know in the comments below. I'll definitely see them, and if they're good, I'll probably do it, so make sure you leave your suggestions in the comments. I'll catch you in the next one in a bit.